Hello guys, welcome back. The global event Onslaught is on, and one of the 4 sets available is Reclaimer. And I believe Reclaimer is one of the best support sets in the game due to its incredible healing capabilities. In this video I'm going to show you how to build it the best way for PvP, and then I'll give you some additional tips and tricks to optimize your gameplay as I always do in every build video. So besides just the roles, you'll also get additional tips and tricks on how to play against different type of builds. So let's start. If you don't know what Reclaimer does, it gives you additional range and duration on the support station. It allows you to gain the benefit of all of the support station mods. So when you're using the support station, you have additional revive, immune to all status effects, and then you have 15% skill haste and infinite ammo from the ammo cache. But even though you have all the buffs or all the mods active at the same time, you still want to equip the life support mod due to the higher base healing rate and higher base lifetime. Then the 5-piece gives us additional range, I suppose, yes, and more duration. Then the 6-piece gives us more health, 100% healing speed, and it also allows us to get 0 cooldown on our station if it's destroyed by an enemy, if we are running 9000 electronics. So what that means is every Reclaimer build should have at least 9000 electronics. I mean, like, without a doubt, at least 9000 electronics. But then you can put a little extra to buff up your heals, or if you're playing PV, you can just go straight 10k. It depends on how safe you feel playing with the build, how you trust your chicken dancing and stuff to survive. So then let's start at how we roll the build. It's pretty classic for a skill power build. We have skill haste and health on the chest, skill power on the mask. I have health on the knee pads. If you're feeling a little more reckless, you can go skill power here as well. I have skill power on the backpack instead of health. This is just a personal choice I make to buff up my skills even more. I have skill haste on the holster, and I have skill haste on the gloves. That means we have 25% skill haste just from the gear. Then we're also going to be having 15% additional skill haste from the station, so we're sitting at 40%. We only need 10% more to be at the 50% skill haste cap. Now to get that 10%, we're going to be using 3 mods with skill haste, and 3 mods will give us in total 9% skill haste, but to use one more to get 50% is not ideal because we're only going to be getting 1% additional skill haste while using a 3% skill haste mod. So 2% of it will be wasted if we try to use one more mod. So we'll just take the 49% and roll with it instead of being at 50%. Then after using 3 mod slots with skill haste, then we're going to use the rest of our mods into skill power to get better and better heals and more heals on our station as well. So when you put all of that together, your build looks like this. You have some stamina. I'm using 3 stamina mods and 2 electronic mods, by the way. You have some stamina, you have 9,500 electronics, and we're sitting at 315,000 skill power with 380,000 toughness, which is enough for me to survive. But I'm also utilizing some other stuff to survive, which you'll see, which I'll show you in a minute. So as far as weapons goes, we are using 2 lightweight M4s, but we don't really shoot that often. We're using this weapon mainly to destroy some skill objects, because it has talented on it, which means killing a target with this weapon increases skill power by 15% for 20 seconds. Killing a new target refreshes the timer. So this gives us additional 15% skill power. We're not going to be killing a lot of players, but if you coordinate with your team and tell them to leave the last hits on these skill objects to you, you can kill a few seeker mines, kill a few turrets, kill a few stations. Since a lot of strikers now run with stations and their stations are quite weak, you can get that additional 15% skill power. So talented procs on skill objects. Then going to the talents, we're also going to be utilizing Death by Proxy, which is destroy a hostile's deployed skill to increase skill power by 20% for 30 seconds. So combined with talented, we are going to be getting 35% extra skill power when we destroy a skill object. So how do we make the most use out of that? First of all, our skill power goes up to like 430,000 when we get both of those buffs on at the same time. But remember that the power of a station, the healing speed of a station, is snapshotted the moment you deploy it. So if I deploy the station at this skill power, I'm going to be having 25,000 healing rate on it until it gets destroyed, no matter how my skill power changes. So what I do is, when I destroy a skill object, if I have a weak station on the ground, I destroy it immediately, tell my team to don't die for a few seconds, then if you just immediately destroy it, you'll be in time to deploy it again before the buffs run out. So I deploy it again with both talented and death by proxy active, which means that it's going to get this 35,000 heal per second up to 25,000 heal per second up to 35,000 heal per second, which is a huge increase. And once I put it down, I can lose the buffs, it doesn't matter. For 140 seconds or until it's destroyed, it is going to keep that additional healing on it. So, repeating again, once you destroy a skill object with talented and death by proxy, and you get that skill power buff, just immediately destroy your station, run around till you get your cooldown back, and then after that, deploy your station and enjoy that additional 10,000 heal per second for the entire duration of the station, whether you lose the buffs or not. I hope I made that clear. This is a really important tip in PvP. Then the other talents I run on it doesn't really matter. Competent I run because it's something I can unlock. I mean, extra damage is not really that important. I guess it helps a bit when fighting skill objects, but then predatory is also really good because it also procs on skill objects. So this is basically two talents that proc when killing a skill object. It's just another passive healing that's to help there. Not that big of a healing because you don't have a lot of stamina and it's percentage based, but it's still something. The second one I have is basically the same, talented competent, but it also has responsive. If I'm close to the skill objects, I can just swap to this one to down it a bit faster. And sometimes, if players are pushing my team, I want to help them out. I know I'm not going to be focused. I can just swap to this for that 10% extra burst, which doesn't really matter that much, but it's still something. But make no mistake, this build is not there for shooting or ADSing at all. If you're in a crowded fight, all you need to be doing is just chicken dancing, alright? If you are stopping to shoot an ADS, one striker player can just fart on you and you will die. That's usually the way healers die. They stop to throw a grenade, and because the grenade animation makes you like stand in one place, people just burst you down. So you really need to be running around instead of standing still or ADSing. This is how you play the build to not die. Then in addition to that, we have a pistol, a 6 gear score pistol with cool headed. This allows us to just headshot some NPCs in between fights to get some additional cooldown reduction on our ultimate. So we can't spam it with the team. Let's say the last fight was a chaos, people went down, you use recover link, then you wipe the other team, then you have like a lot of time before they come back from the checkpoint. You can just go headshot some mobs, bam, your ultimate is back and ready for the next fight. If the entire team does this, then you will have basically an infinite cycle of ults to counter every ultimate that the server throws at you, which is actually one of the main ways how you survive against a server. So, talked about the gear mods. As far as performance mods goes, we're going to be using Sport Station Range. Now, a lot of people might say that it's better to use Sport Station healing speed mods, but in total you can get about 20% Sport Station healing speed from all the performance mods. But it is not really true. 20% seems like a lot, but it is additive to the 100% healing speed bonus we have from our 6-piece. So it's actually just a 10% buff, because the base healing speed is doubled. That 20% damage, 20% healing speed increase is in reality at 10%. So it basically takes my 25,000 heal up to 28,000, which is not that big of a difference. But the range mods get our range from 10 meters up to 13 meters and allows our station to cover an entire playing field, which makes this which gives us a lot more space for our DPS players to run around and also play on the edges of the station to cleanse the bleed. So how do we set up our talents then? Well, the talents are quite simple. Combat Medic to medkit your teammates, Triage to get additional cooldown when you use that first aid, Critical Save obviously when you pop a medkit in your last health segment is really good, and then Death by Proxy, as I said, it combines really well with Talented, but remember that unlike Talented, this does not refresh when you kill another skill object while the buff is active, so be careful about that one. We're gonna be running the Overdose because we wanna have this tool to just keep ourselves alive because we are really squishy, but with the Overdose we can actually buff ourselves back up from basically 0 health to full overheal. Let me just showcase that real quick. So let's say you're in a hectic fight, you got focused a little bit, you went down to like almost 0 health. I actually ran out of my nade there, what the fuck. You went down to like really low health, and then you can just pop, and you can max out your health bar to full overheal. This gives you basically a free 1.5 health bars and allows you to survive a lot more as a reclaimer. And also allows you to overheal your teammates before a fight or something, even though the healing amount on it is not great for ally heal. You can still get use of it. I mean, Recover Link also combines really well with the playstyle we're going for, staying back, avoiding fights, so we're not going to be going down first, so we can use this Recover Link to pick up our teammates. So, a couple more tips here when you're playing against a lot of Predator players, which is basically 99% of the time. You don't want to really stay in the middle of the station. This is not where you want to stay. What you want to stay is around the edges, right here. This is where you usually strafe. Just strafe around the edges of the station. Now you tagged with bleed. The immunizer station sadly doesn't prevent a predator bleed, but when you enter the immunizer station when you're not in it, if you exit and enter it, you can destroy, you can cleanse the bleed, you can get rid of the bleed. So playing around the edges of the PlayStation, not the PlayStation, the sports station, allows us to just exit and enter the station really easily, which we can then use to just immediately cleanse predator bleed. Once you get used to this playstyle, you will see that predators basically mean nothing to you anymore. Well, I guess that's pretty much the build. There is nothing much to it. It's really strong in PvP with all of those heals. It allows you to fight against the server, gives immunity to all of your players. It's just an all-around great buff to have. So this was my Reclaimer build video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any other ideas on how to improve this build, you can comment them. I'll see you on the next one.